sessions conducted by Department of Mathematics, KTHM College, Nashik. In our last 2 days, we have learned fundamental data types, string operations, arithmetic, comparison, and logical operators, list, directory, tuples, and sets. Our today's lecturer is Mr. Dhruva Kumar Bhavsar. He is Associate Process Manager in eClerx. He has passed out MSc Engineering Mathematics in first rank from the Institute of Chemical Technology and qualified IIT JAM examination in 2019. He has well computer knowledge of Python, Julia, SIGMath, Java, SAS, MATLAB, etc. He has also completed certificate courses like Learning How to Learn from McMaster University of California. Second course, Programming for Everybody from University of Michigan. Next certificate course, Python Data Structure from University of Michigan, and Using Python to Access Web. This is also from University of Michigan. He has participated in many cultural events. He has completed mathematics seminar project on Julia programming and operation research under the supervision of Dr. Ajit Kumar. This is well-known person and he will guide us today about loops, about functions in Python and classes and objects. I welcome to Mr. Dhruva Kumar Bhavsar and request him to start his session. Over to Dhruva Kumar Bhavsar.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. So I will start by sharing my screen. Is my screen visible too?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So first of all, welcome to everyone, one and all present here. So we are going to study about functions in Python. So we assuming that not assuming, we know that we are all from mathematics background. Me myself is from mathematics background. So the learning would be like applied methods in mathematics. Excuse me, whoever is not speaking can please mute themselves. Okay, so I'll start. So functions in Python. So what is a function in Python? A function is Python in a block of code when it is called. Okay, so Python function returns a value using a return statement if one is specified. A function can be called anywhere after the function has been declared. By itself, a function does nothing. So we can assume that a function is like a shell, and we need to kind of give it a touch or give it some coding effects which will work for us. And now I can say that we have some components in the function which we need to see. So first of all, def is the keyword to start the function. You can see that I'm using Jupyter Lab. Okay, so you have been using Jupyter Notebook. This is not anything different. The only thing is that we can add some widgets like we add in Chrome. Okay, so I'm not going to use the extent of the widgets. I'm just going to use the Jupyter Notebook thing. Okay, one can also use Colab. Okay, that is Google Colab for doing all this stuff in Python. Okay, so def is the keyword to start the function, to define the function. as the name suggests. After that, we are supposed to give the function name. So what do we give? We give the name of the function, followed by the round brackets. These round brackets contains arguments. So there may be some arguments we need to put down in this function. We can assume that we need to write a function, say square of a number. Okay. So what do we know? We take a variable, say x. Okay, and we try to square it. So here you can see we take x is equal to say 2, and then we try to square it. So x square, I'm just writing this, should be x double power. Okay, so double star asterisk. This you have learned in a few days back, okay, in some sessions. So this I have run it, and I'll try to print it. Print statement also you must have studied, that is x underscore sq. So what do we get? We get 4. So this is all pretty simple. Now what I want is I want to use this function, okay, and I want to create a function which would square this thing, okay, irrespective of whatever I give as an argument. So whatever till now I have mentioned, that is def, function name and argument. So I am just explaining that we will say def, we will name some function and we will put some arguments. So for this case, what do you think would be the arguments? And the simple answer is we need to take x, that is one input. So whatever we need to input or whatever preparatory variables we need to have, okay, that are our arguments, assuming that nothing is defined prior and whatever we define is in the function name itself. Okay, so this function where we write the function name, we have to end it with the colon. Okay, I am going step by step, and now we can try to put something in it. Okay, for now it is an empty shell. If I just run it right now, it would give me an error because it is giving an intended block. I'll just remove it. Okay, so after this we need to give something. So say I give it none. Okay, you must have studied what is none type in the data types discussed. Okay, none type is something, if we don't know, we just uh, write it as none. In other programming language, we use nan and etc. Okay, so now there are 4 types of function in Python. Now this is a computing point of view. Okay, otherwise we have other types when we say mathematical point of view. Okay, so the types of functions in Python, there are 4 categories in the way we define it. Okay, it is structural. Okay, so Python function with no argument and no return value. So I'm not going to put any argument in it. That is, I'm not going to take any input, okay, while defining or while calling the function, and no return value. That means I'm going to get the output as soon as I run my function, okay, and there won't be any return value to capture. Okay, you will understand it when I explain it. Okay, so first you see that the Python function with no argument and no value. So with no argument, we keep the round brackets empty. Okay, and what I am doing is I'm naming my function as logical as possible. So why do we need to do that is very obvious, that whenever we create functions, there are n number of functions. Okay, and if you want to use it later, so that you can create a .py file from which we can access our own function. It can be used as a package, which we will study tomorrow. Okay, so adding 1 and 4, if I want to add 1 and 4 without some argument or no return value, so it is like whenever I need to get the value of 1 and 4, 1 plus 4, so that would be 5. So what I'll do, I'm defining the function def and writing adding 1 and 2, 1 and 4. After that, I'm taking 2 variables. Okay, there are multiple ways of doing it. You must have studied. So you can also write a comma b is equal to 1 comma 4 if there are many. If you want to add some list, okay, there are list of different numbers we need to add, then you can use that also. For only two, we can just stick with this notation. So I'm just commenting this out. And then we create a variable sum, which takes the variable a and b and applies the operator plus. Okay. And now what I'm using is print again. So what does this function do? It takes the value of a and b, which is defined inside the function. So when I run this, okay, I have run this, and if I try to print a, okay, so for now I need to clear all the things. Okay, just a second. I will just reset the thing because I have ran earlier. Okay, so I have resetted it, and now I am again running it. Now what we see that a is nothing here. Okay, it should give an error first that it is not defined, but it is okay. Now what I see is, now when I run this function adding 1 and 4, what do we get is 5. Okay, so how did it come? If someone feels that I'm going slow, or someone knows it already, okay, you can just notify me. Okay, if you already know this stuff, so I can go a little faster. Okay, so for the second part, we go for a function with no argument and a return value. So what we do is, instead of print, I'm just using return sum. Okay, so again, I'm just using another function. I'm just extended the name by return. And what do I get is 5. Now, what do we do to find the difference between them? Okay, I can't get any difference between them. This was the problem. I had taken a and b here also. Okay, that's why it was not giving an error previously. So what we see that I have taken a is equal to this function and b is equal to this function, and I'm just printing out a comma b. So this 5 is just an output for a. A is equal to adding 1 and 4 because it is just printing it out. Okay, and this a comma b is here none and 5. So what do we observe? That when we run the function, this first one with the no return statement, we just run all the arguments inside the body of that function, and there is no saving of anything, like we don't get to save it. Okay, but when we see this second function, when we use this return, it gets saved as a variable. So b is regarded as a variable, also a is regarded as a variable, but it is giving you the none value. So when I see the types, we can see that type of a is a none type and type of b is an integer type. Okay, so it can be like anything. We can take anything, say 1.5. So what change do we get is, now it is a float. Okay, you must have studied this as a data type. Float data type is nothing but decimals. Okay, we have decimal points. Okay, now the third one. So in the third one, we have the argument and we don't need to return the values. So these are the functions where which I have already described. If I want a square, okay, so I'm just naming it as square, and I'm just printing what is this. Okay, that is x double asterisk 2. So what do I get? Okay, so first of all, we just define the function, and now I'm calling. You can observe it here. Okay, if you want, I can take it elsewhere. So we just print square. So we need to square a number. So it can be anything. It can be any number. It can be a float. It can be, yeah, it can be anything. So it is 2.3. Okay, so 2.3 square is 5.289 something. Now, if I add a return value, we know that what we are doing, we just get to keep the value or store the value. Say I'm storing the value of 3 square. So that is square of 3, and yeah, it is already got printed. We can use tab if you are not introduced before. I'm just writing SQ, see, and I'm just pressing tab. So it completes whatever I have written. Okay, and it is also present in Jupyter Notebook, and we don't need to install anything. Now, if I check the type again here, so it is type this. If we change it, it would be another type like 4.2. It will give me decimal point. Okay, so now the free work is done. Now we need to write some code, and we will try to use the above characteristics, different type of arguments to solve this problem. Okay, so the heading is area of the circle. So say I want to get an area of the circle. So it is pretty obvious that what I'll do is ha, has it introduced the math functions, math package? Can I unmute and say if a math package is introduced in previous sessions? Okay, no worries. So let me define a function, say area of circle. Now functions in Python is already like it is 50% cover. I just need to tell you the recurrence relation. Now we are what doing is we are just getting the mathematics problem solved. Okay, so it would give us a little bit of practice, and then we'll apply the functions. We'll see its applications. Now, the definition definition of the function area of a circle. What do we need? So we need radius. Okay, we need radius, and what do we need else? So we need the value of pi. So let me take it previously. That is, I can write pi is equal to 3.14159. Okay, to be precise, I am taking 5 decimal values. If you were to know, and if you are listening, you can also use the exact decimal values by importing math. So import math, or you can say from math import pi. And when I do this, what do we get? We already get pi as a in n number of decimals. We can't count it. It's just showing the long form of it. Okay, and we have already defined also. So now this is the latest one because I have not run this thing. So I will not be adding any other arguments, and I'll be printing the area. So before printing the area, let us define the area. So area of the circle is pi r square. So pi into r into r. So when we try to run this area tab, we can see that I have typed the keyword area, and I have two functions. This is the post function. I am yet to do it. So this is area of the circle. Now the area of the circle with radius 2. Okay, r is not defined. Okay, sorry, I took it radius, right? So I can just take it as r. And now you can see that the area of the circle with radius 2 has the area as this. You can also try to be more uh, creative and write area of the circle. Okay, I'm just trying to refresh the previous thing also so that you get a refresher. Area of the circle with radius. What if we want to get it inside this string? So we'll use curly brackets. Okay, area of the circle with radius this is this, and we will just after the string we will write dot format if you haven't learned this, and in the format we will mention sequentially for the how to fill in the curly brackets. So what we need to fill in first is radius r, and then it is area. Okay, now this is what we get. Okay, so we have replaced r here and area here. So now we go on to a little difficult question. So that would be roots of the quadratic equation. Now there are multiple ways to answer given which domain we are working in. Okay, by domain I am talking about the space. So if we are just working in R square, it is okay to use the formula, which is um, yeah, we can just try to do it. For example, we know that what is x plus 1 the whole square is. So that is x square plus 2x plus 1. So I'll take the coefficients as a is equal to 1. Okay, so a, b, c. So that is 1, 2, 1. Right now, I have taken this and I'll try to define a function. So we are learning functions. We are not learning uh, how to do it, how to do the quadratic equations. It would be pretty obvious till now. So I'll just show the few methods. So defining this as a square root, okay, quadratic. So quad root. So if I have been given the coefficients, that is a comma b comma c. So what do we need to do is first we will find say the delta. Okay, now del is not going to work. You can see that you would come across some keywords like this del. It turned green, right? So it is already been reserved for something else like deletion. Okay, for deleting. So we can't use it. So I'm just writing it as del1. Okay, so whenever you get some error like this, the function is not working, please see if the statement, like we are intended to use def as a Python statement, but if there is somewhere else it is in bold green color, you need to change it. Okay, because it is not accepted by Python to for using for other purposes. Okay, so del1, I'll just say b square minus 4 times A times C. Now, the part which I need to show is how do we take the square root? So here we need to import math, and we can use math.sqrt. I'm just making it. So when one more trick that if this is here, okay, and when I use Control Shift minus, it breaks the tabs. Okay, okay, and now I will try to take the square root of say 2. So does this work? Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll then try to, I have already imported math here. You can also define it in the function if you want, so that if you delete this cell, you won't get any error. So I'm importing math here, and I'm going to write the formula. So what is the formula for the root? So that is root 1 and root 2. So what would be the root 1? So root 1 is minus b plus, okay, now I need to take the square root. So math dot sqrt, that is short form, that is the keyword for taking square root. Okay, so math dot sqrt, so square root of what? That is del 1. Okay, and what do we do next, is we divide by 2 times a. Now there is some error here. Can anyone unmute and tell me what is the error, why this statement won't work? Anyone? Should I pick someone? Yes, Amruta. Okay, Akshada. Yes.
Bracket should be for minus b plus maths dot square root delta 1.
Okay, so what is the rule? Which rule fails here? What you have studied?
Yeah, both.
So can you name it? TEM DAS. Do you remember the past few days? Yeah, TEM DAS. Okay, so yeah, so no need to go back, and you were absolutely right. I'm sorry I couldn't see your name. Yeah, appreciate it. So now what we need to do, I'm just copying it down. We all know we need to just take minus here. Okay, so now we will try to find the, yes,
Also, we have to put the brackets for the denominator.
for the denominator.
2a.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so let us put it, and then we will see why. Okay, so root 1 and root 2, we have it, and we have just defined it abstractly. Okay, we don't know ABC. I have written it outside the function right now. So now we will return that the roots of the quadratic function, let's be more creative, the quadratic function a x square plus b x plus c. Okay, I'll just represent multiplication by dot in the string. Okay, so it is more clear. The roots of the quadratic equation, this is, we can also use this if you want, root 1, and I hope you have learned this also. This is, we just need to write f in the start. We need to use, I think, single quote to make it work. Yeah, and this is a, this is b, and this is c. It is not that easy to get the function work in the first step. Okay, so if there is some setback, you try it outside the function, because it is not recommended by me to uh, do it on the go. Yeah, I may get the result in the first time. I have like more than 4 years of practice. Okay, so please don't get disappointed if you are just trying to create the function directly. What you need to do is, you just start from here to here and try to print this stuff, and then you put it in this definition block. Okay, now what do we get? The quadratic root of 1 comma 2 comma 1. So what I did here was just taking 1 2 and 1 as a b c for the correspondence with ax square plus bx plus c. And what I'm getting here, the roots of the quadratic equation, that is 1x square plus 2x plus 1, is nothing but -1 minus 1. Is it correct?
Correct.
Mm, just a second. Yeah, someone was saying something. Hello. Okay. Mm, there is some problem because, yeah, no, it is correct. But why this is giving me this quote? I need to remove this quote. Okay, when we use F now, we get the quote. And you see, previously when we use format, we didn't get a quote in here. Okay, so there is a little difference what we get. So it is upon you how much cosmetic you want to add to your code. When you like, you can print the PDF also, right? From here we need to download or export as a PDF or anything from here. Yeah, here there are many options. Being the Jupyter Lab, it is a next version for Jupyter Notebook. You can install it. Okay, if you want, at the end I'll show you how to install it nicely. Now, what if the domain is a complex number? Okay, so what if I have not chosen 1, 2, and 1, which is obvious every time, because it is not like whatever we get the quadratic function, it is the perfect, right? We may get a complex root. We may get two complex roots. So for tackling that, we may use the same function. Okay, we may use the same function. Uh, we may use the same function. I am just going to change it from math to CMath. And why is that so? I'll just prove my point why I have changed it. So I have already imported math above. So if you want, you can also. I'm doing this again and again because if there is an error of, you need to understand that this won't work without importing. Okay. So importing math, comma, CMath. This both has square root. Okay, this both packages have square root, but math is normal for like R and Rn. Okay, and we use CMath for complex. Okay, so this is for R and this is for C. If you were to take the square root, so math.sqrt, square root of say 2 here. So just a second, 2. Yeah, so I'll say 2. Yeah, it is working. What if it is -2? What are we getting? Math domain error. So for the math, the domain is only R. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll use CMath. What I'm getting? It is, the output is 0. Okay. Plus or minus. Then we are getting this 1.414 I. Okay, so we have this imaginary number, but in Python, instead of I, it is taken as J. Okay, being the second coordinate. So we know that I, J, K is okay. So let's not get into that. Now, after this, what we need to do is we just need to change this scheme, which I have already changed. Now I will just write this C root. Why? Because we will get the complex root and we don't want to clash both the things, right? So this is C root, and what I'll do is let me choose some ABC which would give me complex roots. It's very easy. We may get it in the first try also. Yeah. So I have chosen x square plus 2x plus 3. Okay, so surely the del is not positive, and we get these two as the roots. So I have proved my point why to choose C math. Okay. Also, if we choose one here, right? I'm just trying to duplicate it. Okay. When we just select this and this is in command mode. Okay. You need to know that in Jupyter Notebook, this blue color. Okay. So this is in command mode. I have selected this thing outside. Okay. And if I go in this is an editor mode. You can already see it here below. Okay. You can see this. This is in edit mode. And if you click here, then this is in command mode. Okay. In command mode, if you just press V here, so it pastes the similar kind of thing. You can also use B, A, etc. Now, what I'll do is I'll just check what does it give an output for the real part. So what do we get? We get this. So when we try to see, like if I try to run it outside and when I observe what is root 1 and root 2 data type, the main change is that root 1 and root 2's data type. So in the first function, the data type would be the real thing, right? And in the second one, it is complex. Okay, it is a C type, complex type. Now moving forward, uh, area of the triangle using sides. So this is directly I've written, but I'll just go it line wise explaining. I have again imported math only here. So what do we use? What formula do we use while using sides? Area of the triangle. You can also see it is obvious. I have already given the formula. The Heron's formula. So here I am using Heron's formula to find out the area of the triangle. Now I have the sides A, B, C, but as we all know, not every side, like if we say the sides are say 100. So what is it? Is it a triangle? No, it's just a point. When we say 110, so 110, so we just have an angle like the two arms, right? And by the two arms, if we try to join, so it needs to be same. So there are some conditions we will like to make. If you don't understand, please unmute and ask. Okay, because this is very obvious. We are learning the application and math is obvious to us. But then though, I would be very like generous and I'll take some doubts from mathematics too. So if A plus B is less than equal to C, so sum of the two sides of a triangle is greater than the third side. So this is the statement which we have used in our school days, which I am trying to see here. And why I am using or here? Because any of this can be true, and if any of this is true, then it violates uh, the existence of that triangle, of the triangle with these three sides. Okay, so it returns an invalid side. What does the else do? If we have just checked that this sides are not invalid, okay, and the two sides, the sum of the two sides is greater than the third side, then we go to the next part where we know that this is S from the Heron's formula, and we just apply this, and then we take the square root, and what do we get? We get the area. And in return, I'm using format here. Okay, if we run it, what do we get? We get this. That is, I have taken area of the triangle of 3, 4, 5. What if it is not correct? Say 3, 4, 3. Okay, 3, 4, 3 can also be something, right? Is it true? Yeah, because sum of any two sides is yeah, sum of any two sides is greater than the third one. What if 3 plus 4 is equal to 7? It doesn't be less than 7. Okay, so what we get is invalid sides of the triangle. The extra thing, like what we can add to this is, you have studied loops, right, in last lecture. So you can also use elif. Okay, after this you can also use elif, if. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add something. Okay. And here what I want to add is I'm going to try to see if the triangle is scalene also. Okay. So how can I do it? Elif scalene triangles. So Elif doesn't, yeah, we need to give a condition. So a, if a is not equal to, you all know this, a is not equal to b, and why I'm using and, because everything should be unequal. Okay. If b is not equal to c and c is not equal to a, then we just print that the entered sides are of scalene triangle. The entered sides are of scalene triangle. Okay, fine. So now I'm just going to run this and this. I'm not getting it. Just a second. This print should work. Okay. It doesn't take it because this elif, I just don't need to make it as an elif copy. I'm just going to take it separately for the if statement. Okay. So that it can work. Yeah. So the entered side are of scalene triangle. So you may know that you can add more to this. You once the package is introduced, packages are introduced in next lecture, that is tomorrow Sunday. You must be equipped with more skills like how to take angles, etc., into consideration using the NumPy package. Okay, and you can just add. You can just try to find if it is a right angle triangle and etc. Okay, moving to the second part. So mathematically and yeah, structurally, now we are going to the other part of the function, like recursive definition of the function. So what is the recursive definition? So whenever we write something, okay, you must have already uh, studied many things in mathematics, one of which is mathematical induction. What do we do there? There is something recursing. We don't write each and every for each and every natural number, right? We check it for, like, if we are proving the using the weaker form, then we take p1 is true, p is a statement, pn is a statement for n is a natural number. We will just state p1 is true. We will assume that pk minus 1 is true for n is equal to k minus 1, and then we'll just try to prove that pk is true for proving it for the whole of the natural number. Okay, so here also we just need to define the it is not obvious, like it is not necessary to check p1 here, like we don't need to define for 1 etc, because this n can be anything, right? So uh, uh, we are going to see a small function. So if you wanted to find the sum of the numbers from 1 to some number, that is say n is equal to 5, so what do? We do n 1 plus 3 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus till 5. Okay, and we also know the formula for that, don't we? N into n plus 1 by 2. So this is simple, but yet we don't need to write many things. Okay, this is just a simple example. So here I am defining the name as sum underscore n, and I'm just returning that if I have already the sum from 1 to 4, I'll just add the 5 to this, 5 to it. Okay, so if I want to explain the structure, so we define the function name. Okay, and yeah, there are arguments here, and whatever we do, yeah, we can give some if else, or if we need to calculate something which we need to add. So we can't do it anything uh, in return. Whatever we want to do, we can do it here. This is for extra thing. But for the recursive function, we return and we write the same function name which we have used to define this function. Okay. And what we want to do with it recursively. So what I want to do in sum underscore n, I need to add. Okay. So that's why I have added the latest uh, latest number, that is n, to the previous sum. Okay, so let us see if it works. I'm trying to do sum underscore n 4. So what do we get? It is 10. Okay, so yeah, it is not for such a small number. We may do it for some bigger number, which makes this the point of using. So say till 670. You can see how much time does it take, right? Just a second. Okay, I won't go there right now. So now we want to just notch up against creating recursive functions. So I'm using this function to create the function to get the value of the factorial for the argument n entered. So now we will be defining this function. You can see that I had to put something extra here. And why so? Because when we multiply, we will get the factorial directly as 0. So when we write factorial of 0, we will get the answer as 0, which is incorrect because 0 factorial, we take it as 1. So I had to specially define it here. Okay, and after that we return the same way. What is different here? We are not summing from 1 to n, we are multiplying from 1 to n. That's why. And whatever changes we have made here is just including this thing and the FACT. We have just changed the name, otherwise it is same. So factorial of 4, what do we have? We have 24. And for some bigger number also, yeah, so it is a very big number, too big, I guess. Yeah, so you can create your own functions so that if you are working on some project and you need to, or you are just calculating, for example, you are learning numerical methods and you want to create some, say, secant method, etc., you must be using it, right? So you can keep it, store it as a function, and you can apply for different functions, right? You can create an argument for a function also. Now I will move on to some other things like nth Fibonacci sequence. So how do we define this? So I'll define the function as fib, fib. Okay, and here we all know that we can start like Fibonacci sequence. So Fibonacci sequence is the sum of it is a sequence of numbers proceeding in such a way that the current number is the sum of previous two numbers. And for the start, we start from say a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 1. This is a natural choice. You can start from any other. Okay. Uh, now a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 1. Now what do I need to say now? Yes, if I just return, that is Fibonacci number of n minus 1, okay, plus fib of n minus 2. Okay, there is some issue. Yes, I given an extra space here, unexpected indent. So when I run it, there must be some error. like there is some error which will come up. So if we are trying to find Fibonacci uh, nth Fibonacci number, okay, sequence. So if I am trying to get the sixth Fibonacci number, so what do I get? I think it would go endless because yeah. So can you see the error? The kernel have died. The reason for that is I had not given exceptions, and we have not started from scratch. Okay, and what do we know that whenever we have this Fibonacci sequence, we need to know that the Fibonacci. Okay, first of all, we will check if n is equal to 0. So first I'll just give these exceptions. N is equal to 0 or n equal to 1. So what should be the correct thing to return? So you must be knowing why the error was there. Okay, because there was a point where the function tried to try to go till the point where we started from fib6, right? So there was a point where it get back to n is equal to 0 and n is equal to 1, but I had not given enough information for it to process. Now I think it is enough, so I'll just, yeah. So the sixth Fibonacci number is 13. Okay, so you can go like for a greater number. So if we want to find the 789th Fibonacci sequence number, it will take time. Till then, we will see some other things. So now we all know we have studied in our K plus 12. It is taking too long. Okay, I would like to stop it. Yeah, I've interrupted it, but yeah, it was working. Say for 78, it would work fine. Okay, no issue. And I will try. I would like to do permutation first. So we'll take it. So pasted it. So
Sir, why?
permutation formula. Yes. Yes. Continue. What is the question? Mangesh, you are not audible. Akshada, you are asking something. Feel free to ask.
Sir, which number we have to choose to get the value? Fibonacci.
Which number? Can you elaborate? Can you be more descriptive? Which number for what? Hello.
Find Fibonacci. Which number we have to use?
Can you write it in the chat section?
Okay. Sir.
Your voice is cracking. So I had asked some question, so you can just write it in the chat box. Okay, no need to unmute. Thank you. Yes. So we may take two arguments, namely n and r. Okay, and we know that what is permutation formula? It is n factorial upon n minus r factorial. We will use say for loop. So I will take for loop for I in range from 1 comma n. Can you anyone tell me what is the output for each I for the range which I have taken? What would be the last number for I? I would also give options, but just type it in the chat section. Okay. So yeah, n minus 1. Thank you, Anjali, to be attentive and to be correct. Okay. So for I in range 1 comma n, we will get till n minus 1. So do we want to go till n minus 1? No, right? We need to go till n, right? So that's why I'm mentioning here n plus 1. Then what I'll do is for I in range this. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just try to get the factorial calculated here above. Okay, using this for loop. So nr is equal to, in the start say 1. Okay, if we were to do it another way, then it would be okay. So it would be different. Now I'm just not giving any exceptions like npr of np0, etc. Okay, that would be later part. Okay, for I in range 1 comma n plus 1, we will calculate nr in each step, and what we will do is we will just multiply it with the say I. Okay, ask me if you are not getting it. So what we will get if I, the value of I is equal to n minus r, what will we get? I'm just taking it as d is equal to nr. So what will the value of nr when I equals to n minus r? Can someone say the chat? It's okay if you type a little slow. Just see what I have written. What is the for loop? Okay, no response. So if I is equal to n minus r, so what are we doing? We are just multiplying from 1, right? So first of all, nr is equal to 1, and we are multiplying 1 to 1. After that, it would be 1 into 2. Then it would be we will get 2. So 2 into 3, that would be 6. Then it would be 6 into 4, etc. So what if I, the value of I is equal to n minus r, the value of d would be nothing but n minus 1 factorial. So what I'm doing is I'm just using one for loop. Otherwise, for 1 comma n minus r, we need to take another for loop, and that would increase that would increase the usage of that RAM or data. And whenever we write the program, we try to use minimum space of our computer so that it won't take long, right? So this is it. We have already found out what we need, and now I'm going to use it. So what do we need to return? We need to return the permutation, which is nothing but the permutation of n p r. Okay, for n is equal to n and r is equal to r is what it is. It is nothing but nr divided by d. Yeah, it would be a it would be a multiple, so we don't need to worry for decimals. I am using this f definition. Now let us see if we are correct and what are some exceptions. Okay, Okay, fib 78 is still running. I'll just stop it. Good, it works for small numbers for now. It takes ample amount of time here. No issue. Defining this, now define this. Now what is NPR of, say, I'll just take something would work first. So 3 factorial upon 2 factorial. Sorry, 3 factorial upon 1 factorial. That is 3 factorial upon 3 minus 2 factorial, which is 6, right? So we have got the correct answer. The algorithm is correct. Okay. What are the exceptions? Where can this algorithm go wrong? So what if we have NPR 3,0? Is it correct? Those who are paying attention can write yes if they feel it correct. Yes, because the formula satisfies it. So what if I instead of 3, 2, I take 2 and 3? Okay. So it is giving me an unbound local error. And we know why, right? What would be n minus r? Here it would be -1, and it is not possible. It would never give us the value of d. Okay. And we can't divide it like that. So we need to give something else, like here I can define if n is say, yeah, n is greater than r. We all know we need to have this condition, right? I'm just taking this tab space ahead. And then we have an else. What is this else? Return. Okay, I have to take it here. Else right. So we won't get an error, else we get something else. Okay. When you provide this, it shows that you were well aware of the exception. Okay. I hope you have studied accept and try. If not, look into it. I won't go there. Combination formula. So what if this permutation? Okay. So we have used normally some iteration to write the definition of the permutation. What if we were to use the factorial? So it was nothing, right? Factorial. Have I reset it? If yes, I will just run it again. So yes. So factorial. We can just try to get it if we have n and r. Okay, I'll just define it. Okay, using factorial. So hash using factorial function. So how do we do that? It is very easy. We just need to write define npr underscore fact, that something else, and it uses factorial. And we need to have these things n comma r. What is the most important thing we need to have? We need to have is that if we have a factorial function or not. Let us see if it works without that. It would. It is public. The function is public. So npr underscore fact, we will go about doing it like this, so that factorial of n, okay, divided by factorial of n minus r. Yes, the restrictions of the exceptions need to be put here, but for now I'm just going to use directly. I've already defined the function. Now I'm writing n tab. It is too much. Yeah, this one. And we may use 3,2 only. Yeah, we are getting 6, right? So this makes it easy. Of course, factorial, what we have used is using, we have defined as using the recurrence relation. And here we have also used the iteration. We have used the for loop, etc. Okay. For combination, I will copy this because the condition is same. We just want C in this place. What we need to calculate is here. Okay. We also need to have something else. So if this is n minus 1 factorial, there is an extra term in the denominator, which is r factorial. So when I equals to r, we have something say d2. Okay, d2 is equal to nr. So it calculates both, and we just change the formula. We divide by this, and what we get is d1 and d2. So d2 into d1. Let's run it. So that is n CR of 3,2. So it is obvious, sorry. So we will just go for 5, 5,2. So that will be 5 into 4, right? So there is some issue or no? Okay, sorry, 5 into 4 divided by 2 factorial. So that would be, that is correct. Okay, apologies. And combination using recurrence relation. Okay, let's do it. So NCR using some recurrence relation. So NCR, I have NCR, and does anyone know some formula where we have iteration over? Yeah, so we can separate NCR, and we have some multiplication to it, and we can get r plus 1. Does anyone know it? If yes, you can write it in the chat box. Till then, I'm pausing the share and I'm writing the function already. If someone knows it, it's good. Okay. Anyone?
So it's n factorial divided by. You are asking formula for NCR, right?
No, we have covered that part. Yes, Pradnya. Hello. Okay. Akshita's question was, if we have to find Fibonacci 75, what do we have to do? Okay. Why we are not getting the output is we will get the output, but it is taking a long time, and I had interrupted the kernel. If I restart the kernel, it would be a little faster. Okay. Akshara, this is for you. The answer is for you. I'm resuming the share. Everyone can see my screen. So you need to know that we can dissect NCR as NCR minus 1 into this term. Okay, I'm going to use that for recurrence relation. Let us see if it works. I have not given exceptions yet, so this may fail. This failed. The kernel is dead. Okay, because I have not defined few things. So if n greater than r, n should be greater than r, and we have n equal to 0, sorry, r equal to 0, then we return, if r is 0, the answer is n, right? Let this be universal. Let this be something else. And this is the final data. So there is some error. Let me check. Yes, true. And let us check. Yeah. So this was Suvarna. Yes. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's done. So we still have time, right? We have 10 minutes. So let us see these things. These are some applications. Like we have this function NCR, right? So what do we do to check that it is 2 power n? So sum of NCR. You have studied lists, right? So I'll use lists right now. So for creating the list first. So sum of NCR is 2 power n. So for I in range will take from 1 to n, right? 1 to n. This is in the list. I hope this definition is introduced. So what I'll do is I'll recur this NCR function itself. Okay. So for what value of n should we take it? So I'll take it for n is equal to 5. Okay. So for n is equal to 5 we are taking, and this is NCR. So this is n comma r. Okay. We will do it for r. Okay. So for r in range. So this will give me the list, and what I'll do, I'll just name it list 1. So what is list 1? Yeah. So these are the things. Funny, I'm getting none here. Should not get it. Just a second. Okay. Yes, I need to include 0 here. And then none should be removed. It's done. Okay. Now what is the sum of this thing? Sum of list 1? It is 31. That is wrong. NCN. Okay, I have not done this. If R is equal to N, I missed it. So if R is equal to N, then what we get? Then also we get 1. So why to do it separately? You can just same answer, one exception cleared. Now I've taken till N, right? Because of excluding the none. Again, there is some error. Some. Okay, so first we will see what is list. There is some error. Okay, this none, it shouldn't be none, it should be 1 here. Should be 1 here. Just a second. So
So maybe you have
NC.
taken n strictly greater than r. Upper.
Okay. Correct. Who was this? Thank you. Yep, correct. So now we should get it as yeah. So this is 2 power 4. So sum of NCR is 2 power n. It should be 2 power n. So this is nothing but you can check it is equal to 2 power 5. Okay, so this is true. So we have checked this. Second, getting the value of the Gödel ratio using Fibonacci sequence. We know this Fib, right? So it was giving some error. So for now, I can check that Fibonacci sequence of 5, Fibonacci of fifth Fibonacci number divided by 4th. Okay. Fib is not defined. Maybe I have, yeah, the kernel was dead. So I need to run it again. So what do we get? Is this the number close to golden ratio? Correct. So what I'll do, I'll just see. I'll just take the value of n, say 5, and here I'll just take n plus 1, and here say n. So this is, so when we just increase the number of n, so say I'm taking 6, see, say I'm taking 9. Okay, so we can get this. So where did the function come here? So what we can do is we can add extra arguments to this. We can define golden ratio approximation, what, using Fibonacci. And what are we going to use? We need to have n here, and what do we need to have extra? Just n would do, but we would try to mention the error and some maximum iteration, taking from the previous fact that we don't want it to go outside and the kernel would be dead again. That's why. So I'll okay. So first of all, we need to see that we need to calculate this thing inside this. We can do it, and we have to do it for a loop, and this loop is for I in range foreign range from 1 to maximum iteration, whatever we say. So see, yeah, so iteration, this should be +1. You all know why. We will calculate this. So let us calculate this as say D1 and say D2 as something. Okay, n upon n minus 1. These are two things. What we will need to check is if this, I will also import math here to use the absolute value function. So math dot abs absolute value of d1 minus d2. Okay, if this is the absolute value is less than or equal to, it is less than or equal to the error. Okay, that the tolerance, so error tolerance, to be precise, error tolerance, if this is true, then we just break it. Break must be introduced in loops. Okay, and what do we return here? We return, which would be the best one? It would be D1. Yeah. Let us check. This should work. Value of n, say I'll take 5. The error tolerance, let it be 5 decimals. So for 5 decimals, what we take? I'm taking 1e minus 5. Okay, this is the way we defined 10 power minus 5. Okay. Then maximum iteration, we may take 30 iterations. ABS is not working. Absolute, I'll write full. Just a second. I'm using NumPy for now. So this is the last thing. Yes, so we can see that, yeah, the tolerance is not up to the mark because there is some error. If I increase the iteration, it would work because there are two constraints, right? If I take 50 here, say more than that. Okay, no issue.
So isn't this value will be same? D1 and D2 will be fixed in each iteration, no?
Okay, just a second. Okay, sorry, I had to do this instead of that. Instead of n, it would be 1. Just a second. And also I'll start from 2 here. Yeah, so there the introduction of n is not required here. What is the problem? Max iteration. Yeah, so introduction of n is not required. That was a flaw. Otherwise, thing is working nice. You can see that it should be, yeah, it should be correct up to 5 decimal places because the tolerance what we have taken is 1e power minus 5. If you would wish to print all the stuffs, you can see that I can reduce this iterations to say 10, but we get the answer as 1619, and we can just print it. Let me just print D1 every time. Okay, so how does it approach? First it is 1.5, this. Okay, so it goes on taking the ratio nearer to the value of golden ratio. So yeah, I could have covered more things. This was optional to cover. I've already done. Okay, any questions? We have already done it on time. Yes. Functions, we see types of functions we can define, 4 types, and we saw each of the type, and we used it to calculate the area of the circle, roots of the quadratic equation, area of triangle using sides. Okay, recursive definition of the function, factorial, and Fibonacci sequence, permutation formula function of permutation formula, combination formula. We also use recurrence relation for combination. Okay, this you will find, you can prove it mathematically on a piece of paper. It's very easy. Then applications. So these 3 applications were like options. This was for your assignment, but we completed it. Okay. Okay. Okay, sure. I'll send it with the faculties. Okay. I'm done.
Okay, sir. Okay, I am here for of thanks. So Dhruva Kumar Bhavsar sir explained very nicely how to define the function, and very small things from that is how we start to define, that is using by DEF, then where we have to use import math, and then where we have to write I for loop, then so small things he explained, and then he is try to giving basic knowledge for defining a function from 0 to the infinity, we can say. That is, he's explained all the small things, but definitely this topic is not that much easy, but sir explained very nicely. So I like to thanks to Dhruva Kumar sir. Definitely we are learn from you so much things, and definitely we will get one more chance to learn few things in the next session. So thank you very much, Dhruva Kumar sir. We will meet in the next session at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, we'll look forward. Thank you.
So do join all again in the next session at 12 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.